So I don't know if the other people are coming or not, but I said I would start at 5, so we'll start. Before I get into it, I'm going to do the thing that you're not going to be so happy about, but could you please all huddle here? Story time! Yes. And Carly will, and Shimi, you want to go wherever you want to take your space to you. Okay, thank you. I want to show my friends again from here right here. Hi everybody, everyone's here. Well, not everyone, but almost everyone. Thank you for being here. So I have a little show and tell for when we get to the reading part. And I have this computer that folds. And I don't know if it turned off. Okay, did not. Good. Okay. Today is here. This is good. It's been quite an undertaking to figure this out, and I could not have done. I'll give all my thanks properly later, but Shala Mamas, Shala Fairies, can you lift your hands? Raise your hand. They were a big part of all of this coming together, so thank you all. And thank you, Walker, for offering the sound portion of this. Should be quite fun. Walker's my partner. And today is, of course, International Women's Day, which is not by case that it's happening today. It was picked, and I hoped that everything would align so that it could happen today, and everything did align. So that was also very good. Thank you, Saraswati, and all the other deities that were on board with this. So I'm going to start a little far, and then I'm going to tell it, and then I'm going to read a story. But really, today is happening because of lineage, and you're going to hopefully understand why it's about lineage. So the word in Sanskrit for lineage is Parampara, and lineage is basically, you can envision like a river, and in this river flow all the teachers that have ever been within this style of yoga, which is Ashtanga yoga, but before it was Ashtanga yoga, it was Hatha yoga. And the yoga that we practice today, the postures of it anyway, within the Vinyasa Ashtanga is a little closer, was, you can trace it back in scripts from like over 2,000 years ago. So just that is pretty awesome. And you can think of that when you're practicing, and there's ways to like connect with the people that came up with these things, and there's Indian Grace teacher. But basically, the first yogi to be known was Shiva. Has everybody kind of heard about Shiva? He's like this kind of fierce deity. He's usually seen as blue with a moon in his head, and he has dreadlocks, and he is the god of, in very short form and unfair format. He brings about destruction so that life can happen. Right? He brings about the ending so that the cycle of life can go on. And so he's the first yogi, and there's a story from the Puranas, which are these old stories that basically they would make the Vedas a little bit more accessible and tell stories about these more intricate poems. And there's a story that Lord Shiva is teaching these secret practices to his wife Parvati, and they're sitting on the beach. And it just so happened that there was a fish in the water, and the fish overheard all the teachings. And that fish later became Shiva's greatest student, known as Matsyendranath. So the posture, Ardha Matsyendrasana, the twist we'll do today, that's him. That's his essence shrunk in a posture. So when you're taking that posture, you're embodying that energy of like the direct student of Shiva, which is pretty cool, if your mind will allow. And so Matsyendranath then took, oh wait, I'm supposed to show you pictures. Okay, so here is Shiva and Parvati, friends online, I don't know if you can see, and there's Matsyendranath, who is coming out of the water. I don't know if you can see very well, but it's the best I could do.
He's eating someone.
He's sitting, so it's a fish, and then out of the fish arises the person. The same. I'm on psychedelics right now, but if I had some, not to follow me. And then, so this is Matsyendranath. He's sitting on the fish to show that he came from the fish, and he took form so that he could share the teachings. And Matsyendranath was, so yogis back then were beggars, and they would walk the earth, they would walk India mainly, as beggars, and people would give them food, so they had no objects of their own. And they would beg for food, and people would give, they were kind of like saints, so people would want to give them things. And one day, Matsyendranath runs into a woman who was having a really hard time conceiving, and she was very sad. And so Matsyendranath gives her a food, prasad, this holy food, with extra siddhis in there, which are like these superpowers, and gives it to her. But she takes it, and he didn't see this, but she took this special food and threw it on a pile of cow dung, which cows are holy in India, and so their dung is their poop is also holy. So temples are built on top of dry cow dung. So this offering goes flying on this cow dung, and Matsyendranath is not aware of it. Matsyendranath moves on. He moves about his life, and 12 years later he comes back to the village to check in on the woman. And the woman is like, oh, I actually threw the offering into the cow dung, so there's no child. And so Matsyendranath looks at the cow dung and says, Goraknath. And out of the cow dung emerges a 12-year-old child, which is Gokarnath, this is an old drawing of him. So this is Goraknath. Sorry if you're far away, it's not great images. And he becomes Matsyendranath's greatest student, and they spend a lot of time together, and he gets all the learned teachings from him. And Goraknath and Matsyendranath begin to walk around all of India, Nepal, Persia, Afghanistan, Middle East, everywhere. And Yogi Swatmarama, who wrote the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which is this very geeky text where all the teachers have gotten their teachings from. Yogi Swatmarama is this guy here. Well, this is like not a picture of him, but a form of his. Yogi Swatmarama becomes the head of what is known to be this yogic sect called the Nat Pant sect. And the Nat Pant, this was their mission: save society from ingenious practices carried out in the name of spirituality, to prevent the decline of spirituality, and to propagate the message of yoga. They were known to have the deepest, most austere yogic lifestyle. They were in thick of it. That's all they did all day long. And they were known to perform miracles. So that's kind of how lineage works back in the day. That's still happening today. Now I'm going to tell you another. I'm going to keep going with that. This is also Yogi Swatmarama, just an image of him. I promise this is ending soon. Okay, so now fast forward, we're in New York City. Not yet Newburgh. And this dear teacher of mine, Lady Ruth, she's a Jivamukti teacher. She taught for many years in the city. She's a teacher of my teachers. She was an Ashtanga practitioner, went to Mysore many years. And she's basically telling a verse from the Hatha Yoga Pradipika that talks about this relationships that I just talked about. It's verse 4 of the first chapter of the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. And she adds onto that story this story. So she says, Yogi Swatmarama is acknowledging that through the grace of others, he and his knowledge go He has this knowledge to give. He did not come up with this. It goes all the way back to the Lord Shiva. We find this in Master Patanjali's Yoga Sutras as well, with Ishvara as the teacher of all teachers. This is the lineage. When you're in a yoga class and the teacher says, straighten your arm, you get a tug. That teacher has also been in a yoga class where their teacher said, straighten your arm, and they also got a tug. When the teacher is talking about kindness and you feel nourished by their words, something inside of you is stirred, and something that was sleeping awakens. This is because that teacher also had a teacher who spoke about kindness and woke them up. You reach a point where you feel incredible gratitude towards your teachers, and you want to be with them. You want to bring them flowers, coffee, candy, and gold. This is a very Indian thing, the gold especially. And then she starts talking about this friend of hers, John Brady, who was looking for these old ancient texts so that he could take them and put them into digital form so that they would not get lost. And he's like, Lady Ruth, where do I go? And so she says to him, I don't know her name, I said to John, because everyone just calls her Jayashri. Now Jayashri is also my Yoga Sutra teacher, so those of you that are taking the teachings that you'll get are the teachings that I got from her. So, because everyone just calls her Jayashri, I don't know the name of the road that she lives on, and I'm not sure about the house number. And I don't have her phone number or her email. But if you're standing right in front of, can you hold this? This is in the bathroom, this picture. In front of the Jagat Mohan Palace, this is where Ashtanga Yoga began. This is the picture I took there in Mysore, India. It's the palace at night. Every Sunday night they light it up and do fireworks. So if you're standing right in front of Jagat Mohan Palace, take a left turn and go down the block. You'll get to a man that sells cucumbers. Once you get there, turn right. You go down the road and you'll get to a pink house with yellow trim and green walls. When you get there, turn left and go down the road. After a while, you get to this, oh sorry, you ladies are not seeing this. I'm just showing pictures of the actual places. You'll get to this big old tree that's a shrine, and they've tied string around it and tucked pictures of holy people into crevices. There's a picture on the wall back there of it, and then there's, well, this is more what's around that tree, this really kind of decrepit building that I love. The door of the Shala looked like these windows before that door was put in. When you get to that tree, turn left on the next road, and you'll see a house with motorcycles parked in front. Now, sadly, I don't have the stacks of all the motorcycles from us going to class, but that's the road that she's on. Go in that house and walk through it, and go out the back door to a little alley. Go through the alley, and it's the third house to the right, so this is the alley. Her driveway is where that motorcycle is, or her entry. John looked a bit overwhelmed, and I got the sense that he might not actually go. I told him, you've got to go. Promise me you'll go. So he went, and he found the precious teacher. Through this meeting, Jayashri was able to introduce him to the great librarians of India, and he received access to yogic texts. John has employed Tibetan refugees to digitize the texts so that they can be electronically preserved. All because he looked for that cucumber man in that pink house. This is what keeps tradition healthy and alive. All the links that keep a student close to their teacher and a book intact become a chain that, when unbroken, is called a lineage. Yogi Swatmarama, who we saw a little bit before, is saying that you're being entrusted with a whole lineage, and if you listen well, knowledge survives. So, that's why we're here. That's why we're raising money for the Shala, because we can't not be here. So, thank you for being here. Thank you on behalf of all these beings. There's also a picture, oh, this one is good. This is not from India, obviously. It says, caring is the coolest thing I've ever seen anyone do. So thank you for caring and being here. And lastly, of course, my dear teacher who has passed, Sharati, thanking you all for being here. Okay, Thank you. That's my spiel. You can all go to your mat. Thank you for holding things.
I saw the little cartoon.
Eddie's, yeah. The cartoon is from Eddie's newsletter.
It's great though.
Yeah, I love it so much. Hi, Heather. Thank you, ladies. I'm gonna chant, but I don't know if it's gonna come through. Love you both. Oh my God, it's 5:18. Okay. Stop.